You got it right here on the Alive and Social Network, another edition of the Mortgages and BS show with Tom Smith and yours truly, BT, Brian Turner. Hello there, Tommy boy.
Mr. Turner, how are you today?
I'm feeling very well, my friend, very well indeed. I'm ready for another round of conversation regarding the worlds of home finance and such, mortgages and what have you, and also heavy emphasis, as we like to say, on the BS aspect of the Mortgages and BS show.
Well, I think one of the things Sean thought about when he hooked us up was we had a lot of opinions, we had a lot of BS. So, I mean, I think it works out well.
If you can't befuddle them with brilliance, then baffle them with bullshit.
Exactly.
And we've got that going on. As they say, the digging mechanism would be a spade, and we've got it going on in spades here.
You dig a lot of things with Salt Light that way, too. So,
the Alive and Social Network.
I was driving down here and, beautiful studios that we have and everything, and I was thinking to myself, Memorial Day was awesome. And you and I were talking real briefly beforehand. I was reflecting back. Memorial Weekend was a great weekend, did some fishing and stuff.
Good.
But the big thing in the news for Memorial Weekend was the Twins.
The Twins. Oh, my God, those guys are running and rolling.
They're winning. I'm like, they haven't played like this for ages. The big thing I read today was, well, could this manager-coach thing with Molitor be the big deal or whatever? But I'll tell you, they keep this up. We might actually talk on some games in September, October. They get pretty darn exciting for us.
Oh yeah, darn right. I mean, 500 ball and such has been something that we haven't seen for a long time. So to be playing above 500, and then this whole worst to first thing that we've got going on, not a bad feeling at all for Twins fans.
Well, I think one of the last times they made it to the series, it was a worst to first type situation
yes, it was.
too.
Yeah, similar thing. Yep.
Little deja vu, and it's nice to have this because then you got negative press and some of our other stuff. I mean, we won the lottery deal for the Wolves. That was great. But then you got AP out there, Mr. Peterson, saying, I don't want to play. I want more money. I want this. And what was the Vikings say? You got two choices, play or don't play.
Play or don't play.
Yeah.
AP, I think there's a part of him that thinks he's in the catbird seat on this, but no, he's not. This is not a good situation for him. I mean, he's going to play with the Vikings, or the option is he really won't be playing anywhere else.
And
nobody's
he
going to pick him
won't have
up.
any money.
And he won't have any money. That's right.
Of course, you remember Latrell Sprewell. I mean, I got to feed my family, so I don't know what's going on there. But no, it's been pretty crazy. And what's funny too is going back on Memorial Weekend, one of my buddies, I was looking on Facebook because I'm kind of a Facebook freak. And my buddy Mark Brown, he was posting this picture. He goes, look what's in my marina. And I'm looking at the picture, and there's a pirate ship in a marina outside of St. Paul. And I'm going, where the heck would somebody get a pirate ship
Where
from?
would the pirate ship come from? Well, I saw a notice in City Pages, and I saw one at twincities.com. And then a buddy of mine, Johnny.
Not yours, is it?
No, it's not mine. But a buddy of mine, Johnny Clifford, mentioned that we started talking about this, and he mentioned he knows this guy. And I've got him here right now on the Mortgages and BS show. His name is Dan Kellogg. Dan, how are you, my friend?
Dan?
Dan, are you there?
Hello, Dan.
Danny boy.
We lost Dan.
Oh, we didn't lose Dan, did we? Oh, for crying out loud. We're going to call him back right now.
All right.
Here we go.
He's probably, you know what? If he's got a pirate ship, does he have a hook? He might not be able to hold on the phone. I don't know.
His bandana might have slid off the top of his head and knocked the phone out of his hand.
Hello.
There we are. Danny's on the line with us right now. It's Dan Kellogg, owner of the pirate ship Sirens Gate. How are you, laddie?
Oh, boy, we're great. Hanging out down by the river here, and beautiful day.
Oh, good for you. Dan, Tom was mentioning that his buddy Mark Brown pinged him with a picture on Facebook that there was a pirate ship set up right next to Mark's boat in the marina.
It looked like it was maybe 100 yards away. And I don't know. I know Mark's pretty wild, so I was wondering if there was any looting and pillaging going on over there. I don't know.
Well, we're hard to miss.
Well, now, can you answer to the question of the looting and pillaging?
Yeah, was there or was there not?
No looting, it sounds like. No, he's declining to answer. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. Is there any? Are there any rum and wenches moments that have unfolded so far there, Dan?
We've had our fill of rum and wenches and poker and weather and high seas and pretty much everything we used to encounter 200 years ago, I think.
Well, I know I was looking at the pictures. I think, the thing is absolutely amazing. You got the masks on there, everything like that. And BT and I were talking a little bit off air, and I guess I'm curious, how did you fall into having a pirate ship? I mean, this isn't something you just come up with on your own and say, I'm going to build one in my backyard, but there's got to be a story here.
Well, be careful what you wish for. For whatever reason, I was on Craigslist, and I punched in pirate ship, and this thing popped up. And I was like, well, I guess I could give the guy a call. So one thing led to another.
Oh, wait, the absurdity of this just shouldn't be lost on Mortgages and BS podcast listeners. That Dan Kellogg says, "Hey, I'm hanging on the Craigslist. You know, some people punch in a 2003 Cadillac STS,
or used bed and dresser. I mean,
exactly, or a 50-gallon aquarium. But Dan's got the little search window up there, and he goes, yeah, a pirate ship. Sure, why not?
Why pirate ship? Why?
Yeah. Well, let's see. So I move around a lot. I've got a couple kids in Chicago and like a kid here in Minneapolis, and then my heart and soul in the Bahamas. I can't get down there as much. Kind of lead a pirate life down there, and it's kind of turned out to be a way to bring Pirates of the Caribbean back to our own yard, our backyard, and put pirate life on board with, our collection of swords and coins and chests and things like that. And I don't know, there's something about it that's kind of, freeing and living large and, not having a mortgage. It's a great, you just buy a ship and you're living on it. There's a slip fee and insurance and,
Well, now you mentioned you mentioned like a collection of stuff. So I take it you've kind of been into pirates for a while, because it sounds like you have a collection of some stuff. So is that what kind of led you to the pirate ship idea, or?
Yeah, I have a house in the Bahamas on Harbor Island where there's a lot of pirate history, and that history kind of got me into researching and books, and that got me into collecting coins, which are really easy to get a hold of, old 8 reals, doubloons, and the history in those coins is fascinating, and it led me into collecting other stuff, and I even have an authentic treasure chest from the Spanish Armada down there in the Bahamas, and then one thing led to another, and here we are living on a pirate ship on the Mississippi River down in St. Paul. So,
wow.
So Dan, if I remember part of the story right here, as a kid, your dad was working in the Bahamas, and so at that time you're down there with your dad. Were you a teenager or what when you first were down there in that part of the world?
Yeah, he was teaching down there in the '60s. So we were with 5. Younger sister was 3, and
okay.
And so we spent time down there, and they started taking us back year after year. And then we got into property in the 80s down there, buying property, contract for deed. Never had much money, but, $5,000 down and $500 a month. It was kind of a no-brainer. The inflation was going up about 10 times faster than that. So we were able to flip properties for a while there and get into bigger properties and kind of the crappiest dock in the nicest neighborhood situation.
Sure.
And it's treated us all very well for quite some time now. So, they gave me the opportunity to buy this ship and take a part of it back here to where the kids are.
Well, I was telling BT, I said, what young man, and maybe even what adult man, BT, wouldn't want to be having a fascination with pirates? You think about pirates, you think about fast and easy life. You think about a laid back life sometime. You think about partying. Right. You think about just having fun. And obviously, there's some negative things to it, especially if you have to walk the plank. But it is kind of cool. It's kind of like almost living out a fantasy, isn't it?
It is. I kind of feel like we're living at Disneyland right now. I'm like,
that's great.
This guy did a knock-up job inside and out on this thing. Every square inch is, looks like a pirate ship. So it's really a lot of fun. I love having people on board, and they're just fascinated. On the maiden voyage up the river, we'd pull in and just empty out restaurants. Everyone come running down and started giving tours, and we probably had 500 people on board in the last 2 weeks.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, 50, 60-year-old guys hop on, and they look like a 4-year-old kid, just their jaw dropped and their eyes wandering, and it's a lot of fun. It's really neat. A lot of pirate in all of us, I guess.
Well, what's funny is when I think of pirates, one of the first things that comes to mind is thinking of the movie Goonies and One-Eyed Willie and that pirate ship, and then the other one, of course, Jimmy Buffett, A Pirate Looks at 40. But this is.
Right.
I mean, I saw the picture of this. Like I said, I mean, now it's my understanding this is built on a houseboat frame or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, so this guy took a Gibson 50-foot Gibson houseboat and just finished the 65-foot pirate ship conversion about 4 months ago. And he had actually built one before this. The History Channel bought it, and that's the one that Shelby from the TV series X-Men lives on. So after he did that, he was hired by a guy from Hilton Head to build a pirate ship for this restaurant out there. And that deal fell through, and so he put it up on Craigslist, and that's where I found it.
Well, I see something like that. I mean, it'd be a fun thing for, get-togethers, parties, whatever you can imagine. I mean, depending upon what you want to do with it. But, I mean, it's actually livable then? I mean, you've got living quarters in there and everything?
Fully livable, 2 staterooms, bunks for the kids, full-size galley, kitchen, full fridge, shower, tub, all the modern amenities. So, yeah, it's been easy to live on. It's been great. We've been on it for 2 weeks now. And
oh, man.
I can only imagine some of the looks you get. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like you said, you empty people. You pull into the dock and you empty people out of restaurants. They just want to come down and see it. And it sounds like you're a very welcoming sort of host or a pirate captain, ship's captain, as the case would be. Does that? I mean, what do you think? The fascination or the goodwill will wear off after a while, Dan? It's like, geez, this is my house. Give me a little distance here.
I think it might wear off. I hope it doesn't, because
Nice.
It really brings a lot of happiness to people, and that's been a really neat part of it. The other neat part has been that we weren't expecting is that you really feel like you're sailing on the high seas. It's you're up high, the wind's whistling through the mast, and everything's creaking, and you're pitching over to the one side. So, no, I think it brings a lot of happiness, and I think it will continue to. And I just kind of realized more than anything we need to share that with people, and we need to, have events and make a wish, foundation, get in touch with a lot of these organizations.
Oh,
that,
nice.
Want to come aboard and work things out, and so I'm pretty excited to take it up another notch and do what we can with it. So.
Now, I know BT and I were talking about this beforehand, and I know we both want to know, when you're on board, do you have to speak like a pirate?
We've got the basics down. We definitely have the yards down and whatnot, but we're far from professional.
September 19th, though, that'll be a different thing. You know why, don't you?
That will be.
Yes,
Is
indeed.
that Talk Like a Pirate Day?
Exactly. International Talk. Talk Like a Pirate Day, Daddy. That's
Arr,
right.
matey.
Arr,
I'll run
mate.
you through.
Arr.
Oi, avast.
What's the letter after Q? You know the answer to that. Arr. Arr.
Now when the kids misbehave, do you threaten them to walk the plank then too, or?
Nope.
It happened. It just happens on board. It's fun. We just picked up a lot of strangers along the way. They're like, "Can we ride?" And we're like, "Sure." And they would run a car up the river about 30 miles, come back and join us, and we just became pirates. We had a great band on board, the Garrigans. They were playing this great pirate Irish music, and it just grew legs.
It sounds.
The owner of Winona Canoe and Kayaks on board, and that was a lot of fun, and
Was
we were able to catch up.
Was this ship down in St. Louis, as I understand it, and that you sailed it up the Mississippi then? Is that how this all worked out?
Yeah, I was with my good friend Ernie Olson, who's a licensed captain, and he lives right across the street from me. So him and I, we got one-way tickets, flew to St. Louis, met up with the seller, picked us up at the airport, took it out on a sea trial, and made the purchase right after that. And an hour later, we were full speed ahead up the Mississippi River, heading for St. Paul.
Dan, a lot of folks, we talk about this on the show. You've got your primary house mortgage, you build up some equity, and then you can grab a little money out of that and then, start a second mortgage for a lake home or something like that. But it sounds like what you were mentioning with the sort of the ongoing purchases and things that you've been able to do in the Bahamas, you were able to accomplish something similar. Or maybe I'm mistaken. Did you take out a second mortgage to make this whole purchase happen, or how did that work out for you?
No, I didn't need to. I flipped a couple properties in the Bahamas.
There you go.
And so I just didn't need to do any financing or anything like that. Just able to buy it and done deal there. So
well, I'm just going to make sure you know this.
Yeah.
Is first of all, you're not going to get a regular mortgage on that thing. Okay, it's got to be on a permanent foundation. Okay, it's got to be on a permanent foundation. If it's movable, you can't do it. All right. So, anybody else out there thinking about that? I mean, second homes are great, and this is just. I mean, I have this fascination. I want to have a houseboat myself. But now a houseboat that's a pirate boat, I'm thinking to myself, I might be having to call you to borrow this thing.
Hey, we can work something out.
I
No
think
problem.
we can work out a little deal on that one.
Now, I heard a story you're trying to get this thing out on the Lake Minnetonka. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of that's been my other home throughout my whole life, and so it would really be a lot of fun just to sail it around there. Maybe at the tail end of the summer, I've been working with a transshipping company here, and getting the measurements on this thing to get it out there for the tail end of the summer. But we are enjoying the river. I'm sitting here right on the riverbank right now, and so that's we'll see. But it's boat. You can bring it anywhere, put it anywhere. So sky's the limit, and we'll probably have it on Tonka for a while in August, September.
Oh boy, that'll be a sight to behold there. Again, you'll be having people rushing out of those decks in the restaurants and making their way down from Maynard's and what have you. And
well, you got to set up so you get some cannons that can shoot like water balloons or something off that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
love that idea.
There's an air cannon on board that shoots, T-shirts, orange Nerf balls. And
yeah, the people at Bayside will be ducking down.
And here I was joking about it, too.
It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. So, Dan, before we say so long, you've got a Facebook page, so anybody on the Facebook, they can take a peek at this. It's Pirate Ship Sirens Gate. Am I saying that correctly then?
That's correct. Pirate Ship Sirens Gate.
Pirate Ship Sirens Gate. Take a peek at that and like that page, and then Dan, I'm guessing you'll keep us posted on, if we like your page, you'll keep us posted on some of the adventures and things that are going on with it. Oh, that's just wonderful. Good on you, Danny boy. Arr!
Aye.
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 Dan Kellogg's a Minnesota guy, and he's the owner now of a pirate ship that you can see on the Mississippi River currently, and perhaps later on this summer on Lake Minnetonka. What a pleasure, Dan. Thank you, man.
Thank you guys for your time. Thanks so much for the call. Great chatting with you guys.
Dan, I'm just glad to know these guys were not hallucinating seeing this thing. So,
Arr.
Arr. All the best to you, rum drinker. Now I've asked you, matey. We'll see you later.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
that would be so cool.
I know. Isn't that just
I
amazing?
mean, especially when you think, I mean, back in my head, I'm thinking to myself, if I was 20 or 30 years younger, out with the guys on something like this, how much hell could you raise with something like this?
Oh, geez, no kidding. I mean, this would be the party barge extraordinaire.
Oh my God! I mean, well, you say you got the staterooms, you got everything on there, so everything's there. So you can cook, eat, drink, whatever you want. But like you said, you had a band over there and stuff like that. I'm going, this is fun.
Yeah, it sure is. This is great fun. You brought up a good point. I'm going to segue this way. When you mentioned to Dan, listen, Dan, you got to have a permanent foundation on there to get a mortgage. And it sounds like Dan did all right there. He mentioned sort of the pathway of increasing value in property that they did in the Bahamas and all that kind of stuff. But it brings up a good point that if you're deciding to do something like, obviously this is a pirate ship, but, a houseboat, some sort of larger, maybe living accommodation type space. In the case of a houseboat, you can live on that thing. You can use it as a second home, as a cabin. But to try to wrangle the financing on it, you gotta be very careful if you're taking out any money on that primary house to do something like this. Obviously,
oh, most definitely. I mean, and that's part of what happened back with the debacle of 2007, 8, 4, 2. People were refinancing and maxing out the equity in their house to the max, and obviously there's been restrictions put in place since then. But it is the one nice thing about it. I mean, you can take the equity in your house. And if you're smart, you can use the equity house for something else you want to do. I mean, you can go get a mortgage, not a mortgage, but a bank loan on a boat and things like that. But in some cases, it might make sense to use the equity because, I mean, let's face it, it's one of the only tax-deductible costs you have left out there.
There you go.
But, he bought and sold some property and stuff like that, which is, you've seen a lot of that out there because there's still investment property that's cheap to buy. And so you go out, you buy a property, you fix it up a little bit, and obviously he's handy. Turn around, sell it, make a little bit of money, do it a few times. Next thing you know, you got enough cash sitting around to buy a second home or buy this. And I'm going to guess that's probably about the price of a second home, too, and it's built up that way.
Yeah.
And so he's got this discretionary money, and that's the one nice thing about when you buy and sell real estate is you can do that. But you're right, BT. You got to be smart, very smart.
Got to be very smart.
Smarter than us.
Well, we do our best. It also would lead me to ask you about just using that equity and getting into that second or third property or whatever on this idea of being a landlord. We kind of covered some of the landlord stuff last week. I heard some of those ads both on television and radio over the last week. With our patented system, you too will learn how to become a mortgage or a landlord and become a property and a rental, king. And with it's always with our patented system.
No, my favorite part is, I've had this for years. Simple, fast, hassle-free.
Absolutely.
Somebody is actually using, what was it? Easy, fast, and stress-free.
Oh, my. Well, a little variation on the Tom Smith theme.
Sounds smart. But no, I mean, we do see a lot of people, and then they decide to buy a cabin or something like that, or maybe an investment property.
Sure.
They do. They'll come and say, hey, I want to see what I've got for equity in my house. How can I do it? And you see a lot of people take equity out of their house for a down payment, maybe on a cabin or second home. And you will see them also do it for an investment property if they've got the equity there to do it. But like we said last week, when you're dealing with rental property or investment property, unless you have a history of renting property out, you're not going to be able to use that rental income. You've got to take a look at it from the straight up payment. And that's because all the people that did these zero downs and whatever else they all did back then, and they defaulted on all these properties out there. They don't want to put people in a position to default on a property because, first of all, none of those people wanted to default. It wasn't like they went out and wanted to max it out and default on the property. So they're protecting the lender and they're protecting the consumer to make sure there's equity in there that if something happens, they're good.
Yeah.
And you do see it. And one of the new ones I see is like a little investor groups. There'll be like 3-4 guys. They all throw 5, 10, 15,000 into a pot. They put some money together. They buy an investment property. A couple years later, they build some equity. They buy another investment property. I mean, they are good ways to do it. And it's not for everybody.
But maybe that's a safer way to go about it. You're not incurring all the risk on your own. And
it's split, yep.
And as long as you've got a group there that everybody agrees on what's going on, you put it all in paper and make sure everybody signs off on it, then you go.
And right now we are seeing a lot of people coming in. I mean, they were talking about cash out refinances, and that's usually when you pull equity out. People are coming in again. They're saying, hey, I want to go buy a cabin up on Gull, or I want to go buy something in Nisswa, or I want to buy something down on Sugar Lake or whatever. They're coming in, they're seeing how much equity they have. They're pulling some equity out, and they're buying that second property. Now, obviously, with a second property, you're qualifying for your first mortgage and your other mortgage. And they're buying these properties. I mean, rates are so darn cheap right now. And I'll be honest, some of the lake property out there is still pretty distressed value-wise, and you can get some great deals.
Okay.
I mean, I know of properties over on the lake I'm on. I mean, these were $200,000 properties. They're $90,000 right now.
Wow, that much.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Lake properties have gotten hit the worst.
So if you've got
except for Minnetonka.
Yeah, exactly. Well, obviously there's some exceptions, but there could be some good opportunities there. But again, be cautious, be careful, and make sure that that your income level seems like it's going to be consistent enough. Because remember, you're not going to be able to, you're going to take a hit on that because you're going to be paying 2 mortgages.
I mean, I like to go play crafts, but when it comes to my real estate, I'm a little conservative.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And you know what? I don't want to max myself out. I want to retain what I worked hard for and keep it, and I don't want to run into any issues. And I think most people have gotten like that after the whole thing's been out there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you gain more of that caution as you get along. Prices are kind of high on new construction. I mean, it's, what are the reasons for this, and are they valid? And, is it pointing in the direction of the young, maybe first-time home buyer actually being able to get into a brand new home, a new build, or not?
It's funny. It's because you get people, they go out, they start looking at houses, and the inventory is low. We've talked about this. There's not a lot out there. So builders have built quite a few houses out there. And the problem there is they're claiming that their costs have gone up. I'm trying to figure out why their costs have necessarily gone up, because we're not in an inflationary type of mode right now, and there's not a high demand or a high demand for new construction in the price range you're talking with, because of the fact most of our buyers are first-time buyers.
Yep.
And most of these people are looking at 170 to 250, and these builders are building over 300. They are selling, but not nearly as quick as an existing home. The concern there is, at some point, are they going to have an over-inventory, and are they going to take some hits on some stuff there? But they are. The prices are just out of the range for the first-time buyer. I mean, back 10 years ago when we went through everything, the first-time buyer wanted to buy the $300,000 house. Now the first-time buyer wants to buy the 220 house because they don't want to max themselves out.
And this is probably a note of caution that was preempted or prompted, that is, by what happened in 2007, 2008, or at least in some measure.
Millennials, I mean, as they call the millennials are being very careful in what they're spending their money on. They don't want to overspend. Unlike the group of right before them, they want to play a little bit more safe with their money, hold on to their money, and buy what they can afford and not what they want. There is a big difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's been a problem for a lot of home buyers over the years. I mean,
champagne taste, beer budget. I mean, we see it all the time.
I bet you do. Yeah.
And here are people saying, "I've got a beer budget. I want to stake it down to a soda." So,
indeed. You mentioned, I don't know why the builders are saying that price, that costs are higher. Are they really? I mean, is lumber higher than it was a year ago, 5 years ago? Is concrete higher than it was, or not?
It's funny, depending upon who you talk to, you get a different story. I know one of the things they talk about is land values. And I think what's happening is some of the banks now, on the land that they repossessed or retook hold of from some of these builders that had failed out a while back, they were selling the land off pretty cheap. I think, they've raised their prices on that land.
Okay.
But I think the builders have, and I could get in trouble for saying this one, but I think the builders have some unrealistic profit margins still built in, which prices some people out. And I think if they were to try to come down and say, let's get this market going, adjust those profit margins a little bit, I think they could do off better on some of those prices.
All right.
But I'm hearing of some lots being picked up still for $30,000 and $40,000, and that's dirt cheap.
Yeah. Compared to the 150 or 200,000 or whatever the case may be.
Well, you get down toward Farmington, Lakeville, that southern area. There's some cheap stuff down there. And there's some nice houses.
What's happening in the world of the tear down mentality? I mean, are we seeing some of this stuff going on in the suburbs as we're seeing happening in in the inner city? It seems to be a larger issue, and I mean to say issue, with the tear down homes and what's happening there. Is it happening elsewhere too in other communities?
You don't really necessarily. I don't think you really see it in the suburbs per se. Not that it's not happening. Where you are seeing it though, and it was funny because I was talking about this with an appraiser buddy of mine today. There are still properties you can pick up on some of the lakes out there for $300,000-$400,000, and they're basically buying these properties because of the lots or the land that the property's on.
Sure.
And they are doing something with a tear down or a remodel to build those things up. And when you've got lakeside water, lakefront property, there are restrictions of what you can do. I mean, look at some of the stuff that's going on in Minnetonka.
Right.
You've got to retain part of it. My brother-in-law, for example, perfect example. He's got a little place down in Milwaukee. It's a family place. It's worth $400,000. The land's worth $350,000. The property's worth nothing.
Wow.
So people are. There's a property.
And he's on the lake there. He's on Lake Michigan there.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And we were talking about a place today on Prior Lake. The property's, I think it's for sale for about $280,000. And we were looking at the land value is probably well over $200,000. It's only a 700 square foot property. And we were talking about how you could do this, and this, and how the concrete's there. This house could actually be remodeled, put into about a 2,200 square foot home, and probably be worth about 3 times what it is.
Wow! So just cobbled onto what's already existing,
exactly,
there, rather than doing any kind of tear down.
Because like the front porch has concrete underneath of it, so it's a permanent foundation, so they can build off of that, so they can go up, so they can increase the foundation size to about 1,500 square feet, and then they can go above it.
Yeah.
So those are the types of things you're seeing some people doing. As a matter of fact, that's what my wife and I are thinking about doing.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, with a lakefront sort of thing, or where you currently are with your lakefront?
No, with a lakefront thing down the road. We're our houses. As we talk about, my kids are getting older. Your kids are older.
Exactly.
And we're going. We don't need this house anymore. Let's move to the lake. And she's like, we want some place where the grandchildren can come to and say, "Oh, grandma and grandpa."
Well, there's some validity to that, though. Absolutely.
So I said, we'll get a little 3-bedroom on the water.
Your wife doesn't sound like that, does she?
No, she sounds much hotter than that.
Okay, very good. Very good. Just to be clear.
But, buy something like that, fix her upper and just over time fix it up. But someplace where, in her eyes, the grandchildren can come to. They can play at the water. Grandma and grandpa's is a fun place to go. Because as a kid, that's what she did. She went to her grandparents' place and did that. And it was really just a summer place, but she wants an all year round place because she thought, hey, let's get into snowmobiling and some other stuff a little bit more. And, it's going to be our next life here coming pretty soon, so we have to have fun. And I think that you're going to see a lot more people doing things like that again.
Sure, yeah.
Not the big houses like I'm in Minnetonka, but you're going to see this.
How many clients are you getting? Speaking of the next phase, how many clients are you getting that are doing the downsizing thing from the home in the suburbs or in the city, and moving into the? I work on the air at the radio station I work at. The neighborhood is surrounded by a lot of the condos in that neighborhood are populated by a lot of folks that I know are 55, 60, 65. Some retired, but a lot of them not. They're still working, but the kids are already out of college. They're off into their own lives, and they've downsized downsized and they've moved into a new lifestyle.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of the 55 and older communities popping up out there, and I've got an agent I work with. We do some stuff on the senior side. We're seeing a lot of the seniors, looking at downsizing, things like that. But really, once you get to about 55, you're seeing the downsizing, and seeing a lot of people coming in and say, okay, I've got this 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house. I'm looking for a 2-bedroom. I want to move downtown where everything's convenient. I want a 2-bedroom condo. Primarily, about a third of the buyers we see are first-time buyers. Another set is, it's just a little younger than us, BT. They're buying their second house or maybe their third house. And the next one is those are really our age and older where they're downsizing.
Yep.
They are. And they're looking for simplicity in their life. In some cases, I just had some couple, they moved to a place up by Big Lake. They bought a little place up there, nothing fancy, but they wanted to move out a ways, have a little bit of acreage, be on the water. Their house is easily half the size they were, but they wanted to just simplify their life.
Yep, and add some other enhancements, like you said, with a little land and something on the lake like that.
Simplicity is nice. I mean, at some point in time, you got to get away from the hustle and the bustle and just relax and enjoy yourself, I think.
Can you just come over and help me clear out my garage? Can you just do that?
As long as I can sit out back in your Shangri-La garden for a while.
And then we'll toss a nice beer out your
We'll
way.
have to, we're going to have a show on that yet about your garden, right?
Yes, we will.
All right.
We'll get out there soon enough. You toss out that go-to information for you, Tom Smith.
Well, I'll tell you, if anybody wants to actually get a hold of me, they can check me out on the web at omsiguy.biz, Twitter at omsiguy, email tom.smith@amicinc.org. Call me, 612-386-7672. I'll answer. I'll talk to you. I might be drinking a beer, eating some wings, but I will talk to you.
Indeed. And if you want to take a peek at Sirens Gate.
Oh, my gosh.
Special thanks to Dan Kellogg, the owner of the pirate ship Sirens Gate.
We are getting a special to get to go out there, aren't we? Yes. Holy cow, I got to go on that thing.
A couple of things you can do right now. If you're on Facebook, certainly search Pirate Ship Sirens Gate. It'll take you to the page that Dan set up, and like that page if you like what you see, and he promises some updates along the way. Otherwise, go to your favorite search engine, whether you use the Bing, the Google, whatever, and just put in Pirate Ship Sirens Gate or Dan Kellogg Pirate Ship, and you'll see some recent stories and some really fun images. You'll actually see what this pirate ship looks like, and it's just fascinating. And imagine this: 2 staterooms, a full kitchen, a full galley, head with a tub and a shower. The whole 9 yards is tucked inside this fantastic.
And the rum, the wenches, and the walking the plank were optional, right?
They were optional.
I'm just glad my buddy Mark Brown didn't Photoshop that picture on Facebook, because I'll tell you, I was like, "Where are you?" Is what my first response.
The real deal. Thanks for joining in for another edition of Mortgages and BS. I'm BT.
And I'm Tom.
We'll see you next week.